Tagging. But TikTok is the perfect place to stay with the times.
Yeah, unless you have a really messed up algorithm and it's informing, like giving you a lot of wrong information.
I mean, that would be your fault.
But I guess that is being with the times. Having wrong information, spouting it. That is the time.
Huh.
Are you, I guess we could start whenever you'd like.
Oh, we can start right now. We could have started
already.
2 seconds ago.
Why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Well, my name is Friday James, and I am a singer, songwriter, and I manage, or front, I should say, a 7-person band.
7. That's a lot to manage.
Yeah.
Being in a band is hard.
It is.
Especially every time you add a body, it's like another relationship you're starting without romantic intimacy. You're just in all these relationships in one unit, right? It's hard.
Yeah. It's really hard, but luckily I have some of the most amazing, humble, down-to-earth, just friendly people in my band, and also just ridiculously talented, too. They're just so gifted. So I feel really grateful to have them. As an individual, like relationships with my band members or just with people in general, it's very difficult sometimes, just for me. But with my band, I do feel very safe, so I'm very lucky.
That's good. How did you meet everyone in the band? How'd that happen?
I met everyone in totally random circumstances, mainly just going to jams, because jams around the Chicago scene are just very popular.
They're awesome.
Yeah, they're so good. You find some really, really niche talents there. And I went to a few. So do you want me to go do you want me to go person by person?
Sure, you can talk about it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I met my bass player first, and that's DC. I met him because I was playing a Valentine's Day show, which was my first ever stage performance here in Chicago.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Nashville.
I was just in Nashville.
I know. I was watching your Instagram story.
I was just there for 4 days. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
I saw you had some of my friends you were filming.
Really?
Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah, teeny tiny world. I'm not going to, don't
okay.
ask me.
Small world, yeah. It was a very fun time, very different city. It's nothing like a New York, Chicago type where they're like, it's brick and steel and concrete everywhere. Nashville was like, once you got outside of downtown,
it's grass.
Broadway,
grass and
it was
cows.
like people. It was like you're in the suburbs of Chicago, just like homes with yards, even in the city, which you don't find that in Chicago. You'll find some yard. I'm talking real yards. I'm not talking Chicago yards. Like, I got a house in yard. It's like, and your neighbor is 3 feet from you still.
Yeah.
They had space everywhere. I think it has to do with the mountains kind of getting in the way. It's less people. Historically, it just hasn't been that type of industry to bring millions, you know? Chicago's
so huge.
Huge.
And Nashville is people think it's big. I used to think it was big because I'm from...
It's not big at all.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Clarksville, which is 45 minutes north of Nashville.
So you're almost in Kentucky.
Almost, yeah. Some of my life was in Kentucky, actually, because I was also part of the military family type, and we lived on base sometimes. But when I lived up there, it was considered a small town when I was growing up. So when we went to Nashville, we thought it was huge.
It must have felt huge, of course.
Yeah, but then I moved there in my adult life and realized that it was not very huge, especially as I got to socialize and know people. And I realized just how tiny it actually was.
Yeah, it was so easy to get around.
Yeah.
When they talked about traffic, I was like, this is not
nothing.
Traffic.
Yeah, no.
New York traffic makes
Have
Chicago.
you been to LA traffic?
LA traffic's bad too. Mexico City traffic was the worst traffic I've ever seen. But it's a more populated area. It's the second most populated city in the Western Hemisphere. I think Sao Paulo in Brazil's the most. But it's 20 million people. It's that coupled with lack of street regulations and proper layout and the layout of the city. It's very old. The police don't do anything. You can do whatever you want. Nothing's going to happen. So that also leads to a lot of chaos. People know they can do whatever they want, so they do it.
That's true.
Whereas in a town that's smaller, it's easy to get caught. You can't
we
just
are
do whatever
going
you
on
want.
such a tangent right now.
That's the way it is. That's how this podcast.
I just realized I was listening to you, and I was like, weren't we just talking about my band members?
We were. Somehow we got. Oh yeah, Nashville.
Yeah.
Nashville. Okay, we'll get back to DC. I still have it remembered. But yeah, Nashville, great city, good food, lots of barbecue, lots
the
of
chicken's
wings.
great. The barbecue's great.
I had some good chicken wings at this place called the Centennial. Have you heard of
Really?
it? Have you heard of it?
I don't believe so.
They say it's the best wings in Nashville, but I feel like every place claims it's the best. Everything.
Yeah,
right?
every place is the number one place. I noticed that. It's a thing.
Chicago does the same thing. The best pizza in the
number
world.
one pizza in the city. I'm like, who said that?
Yeah.
You?
Best beef. I guess you could just claim it.
Right.
This is the best podcast in the world.
This is the number one podcast.
You're the best singer in the world.
I am the
best
number
podcast.
one singer in the world.
Yeah, you can't say
everyone.
best. You gotta say number one.
Number one.
We're the number one.
Yeah. I guess in the music scene, if you say number one, it's a little bit of a lie for sure.
Yeah. I mean, billboards? What chart?
Right.
What
Everyone's like,
about?
what chart? What chart are you talking about? I'm like, number one in my mom's eyes.
Are you?
No.
Dark. We'll
Not
get back
at
to the
all.
military life after this one. Was it your mom or dad in the military?
My dad was in the military.
Okay.
Yeah, he
Navy,
retired
military, or Marines, Army?
Yeah.
Cool.
That was a time.
I bet. Were they musical or just you?
No, yeah, it was just me. I was very black sheep. My family they were more athletes.
Okay.
So, my dad, obviously he was in the Army. He was in very good shape and very built, and he cared a lot about his health. My mom was a personal trainer. She was a nutritionist, so she was very into health and fitness, of course.
Yeah.
My brother played basketball and football, and my sister was in a lot of sports. She ran track. She did majorettes and things like that. So she was just very active, and I was in guitar club.
You were in any sports?
I played volleyball through high school and college, but just because I felt like I kind of had to.
Pressured.
I had to do something. I was just always in art.
Look, that worked out better for you.
I think so.
Sports aren't your thing, right?
I mean,
music.
I'd like to think I wasn't terrible at volleyball since I did go to college on a scholarship with it.
Oh, shoot. You left that part out. Wait, so you got into college and got a scholarship based on a sport that you felt pressured to, you weren't even that into?
Yeah. Well, volleyball was the only sport I liked.
Oh, so you did enjoy it, but it wasn't like, I want to do this forever.
I didn't want to do it. No, I did like it, though. It was
Okay.
fun enough for me to be like, yeah, I played a sport in high school. But then it carried me to college, and that was a surprise. I wasn't going to say no to the scholarship, so I was like, I'll just go.
Which college?
Wilmington College in Ohio. I actually went to 2 colleges. I started college when I was 16 years old, so I did dual enrollment.
How?
Yeah, in Tennessee, there's this program. It's called the Middle College, and so you can go to high school and college at the same time when you're in your sophomore or when you're in your junior and senior year. So you go to college on campus, and so I went to Austin Peay State University, and there you can graduate with a full degree.
Wow.
And then from there, a 2-year degree, I should say, and then from there you can go to college with all those credits, and they're all full.
So you can get an associate's by 18 years old?
You can.
Without even being a awkward nerd genius that skip grades?
You can, and you can take as many classes as you want to, depending on what you can afford.
Did you find that helpful? Did you like that? Or did you feel too young for it?
I didn't feel too young. It was definitely my choice. I'm going to be real with you. I only did it because I didn't want to go to college after I graduated.
Oh,
I just wanted to
be done.
Yeah. So I thought if I did this, then my parents wouldn't force me to go to a 4-year university or something. I was wrong though.
But you finished early though, right?
Yeah, I did.
What, 20 years old?
No, not quite.
You took your time.
I took my time. I
You're
took
I got 2
semesters
years. I
off.
can take my time. I get it. That's cool though. That's an interesting layout. I never heard of that. But
Yeah,
they
have
it
it in different areas for different spans of time. Some schools allow 9th grade you can start.
Whoa.
I probably wouldn't have survived.
Yeah, I did the old school way. Just wait until I got done, which, I mean, life's not a race. It felt good to just live in high school. And I got pretty much every credit done by senior year. So it was a blow-off year,
Nice.
Which was, I had a lot of fun. I worked outside of school. But I played music and built this. I'm glad because it gave me the free time to build the clubhouse creative space, the DZ, which turned into everything I still do this day. So it was actually a good thing that I started doing that at 15. And I could not have done that if I was going to high school and college at the same time. Because it's probably busy to do that.
Yeah.
Were you able to have a job outside of school?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot then.
It was a lot. I was playing volleyball, and I was in school full time, and I was working. So it was a lot. I don't know how I did it. Probably just
energy, yin yang.
Yeah, I think just because I was 21 or 20 or 19 or whatever.
You could do anything at that age.
Yeah.
I wish I could tell people at that age when I see them not going out, and I don't mean going out like clubbing and drinking. I mean just like doing stuff, going to the beach, going with friends, going to play some sports, rock climbing, whatever it is, free stuff, things that cost money. It doesn't matter. Like, do it, because I don't know how old you are, but I'm 33. When you get to your 30s and you can't just, a friend's like, hey, I'm having a show, want to go? I'm like, sure. And then they like, doors are at 9, I go on last. I'm like, I have work. I got to wake up at 7. I'm not going to get home at 1 a.m. on a Tuesday.
That is something I have run into a lot, actually.
It's hard.
I just have a very young spirit. So I am often like, let's stay out until 4 a.m. And my friends are all like, no, we have to work. And I'm like, fuck, I forgot you guys are adults. And I'm like a child inside. I'm 27.
Well, you're an adult.
Yeah.
27?
Yeah. Every time I say I'm 27, I'm just like, that sounds so like I'm 30. It sounds like the same thing.
No, you're 27. No, I tell people, that are younger in their 20s, like just, especially if you don't have like kids or mortgage or marriage or anything like that, like do the things, have fun, stay out later. But yeah, if you do have serious work and things that you have to like get done, it's hard to go to bed at 1 or 2 and get up at 6 or 7. Once in a while you can do it, but to do it all the time, it messes with my flow of life, with my routine. I just can't. I wish there were more shows that started at 7 or 8. But I realize the people that go to those tend to be younger, so they can handle the 9 or 10 p.m. shows.
That's true.
I'm just selfish. I'm like, I want all ages shows at 7. Not that I want all ages shows, but when you have them, they have to end by like 10.
Yeah, that's true.
I love that, because then I'm home by 10:30.
Very dad
sleeping
energy.
by 11.
Yeah.
Responsible. Bad things happen at night.
Oh, God.
I miss those all ages shows when I would go. Like, get home so early.
I had never heard of anything like that.
All ages shows?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I never really looked into it.
You've never been under 21 and went to a show?
I don't think so.
Really? You didn't start going until you got older?
Yeah, I didn't really start like enjoying nightlife or anything until I was like 21.
Oh, this explains stuff. I was enjoying nightlife at like 14.
Oh, no. I was very sheltered. I was super like goody two-shoes before I ever turned 18. And I was eager to like please, so I just was a good girl, and I didn't do anything at all until the moment I turned 18. Like, it was literally days after I turned 18 that I became like this new person.
Like what?
Don't.
It's okay. It's been 9 years.
I don't know if I can say that on camera.
Drinking, smoking.
No, I actually none of that yet. It was all the other stuff I shouldn't be doing. But
dating.
It wasn't that. That's what we'll call it.
That's what you should be doing at 18. It's just be smart about it, but yeah.
Yeah,
that's what you should
I wasn't
be doing.
smart about it. That's what it was. So it was. But when I got to college was when I did more of the like smoking weed and like drinking, just like enjoying college life and partying all the time. And I fell in love with nightlife and
still have it.
Yeah, I love working in like bars and clubs. Really? Mm-hmm. Because I just love talking to people. I love the energy in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like that energy when it's 8 in the morning, but I love it when it's like 4 in the morning.
It's so fun. I love 8 in the morning energy. I love when like the sun's coming up and it's not that hot yet.
It's the worst. That's when I sleep.
That's when I'm out walking many miles, just like taking in fresh air. I used to not be this way. It's like I was this way as a kid. Mm-hmm. And then there's that like 14 to 25 where, yeah, I was up that late, 6 a.m., 5 a.m., But it's hard when you're in a band to like be an early bird because shows happen late. People hang out late. Sometimes the best time to like talk with people and meet new people and collaborate is later, to go out and to like try to make friends or make some moves in the scene by meeting people, getting drinks. It's later. Yeah. So it's hard to do it.
That's a big one for sure. The thing about that too, my band, a lot of them, like I said, they like to check out, go home as soon as the show's over. We don't stay and hang out. So usually everything that gets done for the sake of the band, I'm doing during that time. Like when I'm going out to parties or clubs or anything, I'm trying to socialize to network because I do enjoy networking and meeting people and seeing how we can work together. And so I kind of combine the interests, the networking and the just enjoying nightlife. And I think I learned this in LA because when I lived there.
Oh, you lived in LA?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I don't know why. I'm assuming you know everything about me.
Nashville. Then after Nashville, you went to?
I lived in LA for a little bit. Okay. Only for like 6, maybe 8 months. Like it was very short. But during that time, I was working on music and I was meeting people. And the main way I learned from living there to meet people, to network, and to like make some real progress in your career was to go to the parties.
Yeah.
You have to go to the LA parties.
Absolutely.
So
you
I
have
went
to.
all the time, and I learned like how to network at a party as opposed to like trying to DM someone on Instagram and then like try to meet up with them for coffee. Like people don't really love that.
That is a thing that people do now, and it can be a little not like bad. It can be a little awkward, or you just like don't, when you get to see someone like this right now in real time, in real life.
Yeah.
What can take forever in messaging and texting, I can know like within minutes of just seeing you.
Exactly. And I think also when you network with people in party settings, they're in high spirits. You know, the energy is good. They're probably drinking a little bit. So when they meet you, their impression of you, it's a lot higher than it would be like in a setting where it's very kind of clinical and you're sitting down together. You know, people prefer to chat when they're in their relaxed, natural, like comfortable state. And
absolutely.
so I prioritize that, and my band gets to go home early.
And then you just get to do all the talking.
Yeah.
But you're the front person, so
and
it works.
They really do commend me for it, and they tell me all the time, like, how much they appreciate that I do those things. So I love them for understanding that I'm not just like a party head. You know, I'm doing this for them, and they know, and I appreciate them for it.
You take it seriously?
I do.
Like, do you like party? Or do you just like hang out and talk to people?
It depends.
Okay.
It depends on who I'm with, because recently I learned from some people I did party with that I should not party with everybody. Some people hold me, and this is going to like kind of be a little deeper, but some people kind of hold me to a standard that I never asked for. And so when I get a little liquored up or when I get a little out of pocket, it's very jarring for them as opposed to like how that's literally how everybody else in the club is at the time. So it just depends on who I'm with, because certain people you can do that with, and certain people are like, I never knew she was like that. And I'm just like, I'm not like that. I'm partying right now.
Isn't that the worst? When you're just trying to have fun and you get like this minor guilt trip from people around you, like, I didn't know you smoked. It's like, well, now you ruined it, because I'm high and now I'm paranoid that people are looking at me asking like, oh, you smoke? It's like, I'm an adult. Do whatever I want.
I feel like I'm very easy to figure out really quickly. And so I get so confused when people think I'm different than I am, because I'm just like, what about me made you think that I didn't swear this much or like didn't?
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, what? How do you look at me and go, that girl is a saint? Like, look at me.
If I look at you, I'd be like, she probably smokes. Maybe drinking is different now, because there is a big like non-drinking world and movement ever since things like mushrooms and marijuana have become more normalized, socially acceptable. You don't have, before it was like, you're only allowed to like smoke and drink like cigarettes and alcohol, because they're legal, even though they're still bad for you, really bad for you.
They're worse for you.
Way worse. And marijuana is like, you only know if you know, and then anything else is like, no. But some of these things are more acceptable now, so it's hard to say if someone drinks or not, because a lot of people are getting away from drinking and going to like edibles and weed. And that, because also the cat's out of the bag, alcohol is pretty rough on you. Yeah.
You know, I think it's tricky because I agree with you. Like, a lot of people are kind of pulling away from alcohol. But at the same time, I think what I've noticed is, especially when I'm organizing meetings, that a lot of people are like, let's meet over drinks. That's a very common, like, thing. So,
of course.
So it actually is, it's so normalized, like alcohol, that I think it's becoming so passive to people.
They don't even realize it anymore.
Yeah, it's like the same as an energy drink now. Like, it's very like passive to people.
Are you an energy drink person?
No. Oh my God, my heart would explode.
I don't need them. Once in a while, like in Nashville, I had a Red Bull. And the only time I ever really had them in the last decade were when Red Bull would bring them to the festival that I did. So I'd have them there because it's like, come on, they brought me like a whole bunch of free Red Bull. How could I not?
Right.
But
Red Bull's yummy too.
Yeah, and you kind of need it when you're putting yourself through like endless hours of work, like beyond what coffee could do for you. You don't want to do speed or meth or Adderall. I don't.
Definitely not. You know, I don't.
Yeah, but that's another big thing, Adderall.
Adderall.
People really like Adderall.
I've never had it.
You strike me as someone who doesn't need it.
Ouch.
No, like you don't need it, like because you have so much energy. Like
oh, thank you.
That's a good thing.
No, thank you.
Like, I don't need it. I don't have a problem having energy and staying focused.
Yeah, you know, I've never had an interest in Adderall, but I do remember it being very popular in college. So that's the only time I ever was like introduced to it, and I saw people actively doing it. But Yeah, I've never had any interest in it. I always was more of a stoner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even more of a stoner than a drinker. I always just preferred the mighty ganja.
The mighty guy. Well, that'd be better for you than alcohol over time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, lately, like as I've gotten older, I do love a good cocktail just because they're so pretty and yummy and so cute. And then I also was a bartender for a while, and I bartended at different places, and I still bartend today. And I just fell in love with like the art of it and how pretty it was that I kind of am interested in like mixology now. It's
It is cool.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I like them. I don't like the price tag of them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't know about you, but it takes a lot for me to get buzzed drunk from alcohol. So to spend like $15, $20, $25 per drink with the tax and tip at like a really good cocktail bar in Chicago, some that are like $25, I'm like, I need 7 of these. I'm not going to spend $150 at one night in one bar to get buzzed. Like I just don't want to do that. So it's hard for me to do the cocktail thing. I have to stick to like beer or something less money. So when I have 6 or 7 of them, I'm not spending all that money.
One way to hack that system.
All right, tell me.
Fishbowl margaritas.
Fishbowl margaritas.
Just get one fishbowl margarita, and then order your. Other
What if
stuff.
they don't have it?
Then you're at the wrong place.
Oh, okay. Does your place have it?
Yeah. We get them in like giant seashells.
Are you gonna tell me where it's at? You're gonna tell me off mic. Tell me off mic. I'll have to come. Are you a person that keeps like life separate and then music?
I'm incredibly private.
Really?
Yeah. I have to be because I notice. I've tested it out, and I'll just I'll tell one person one thing, and I will hear it back from someone I never ever thought would ever know. So it's just funny how that works and how small the scene is here. So I want to live a very, very private and like normal life, but then at the same time I want to front a band and play for like thousands of people. So it's very much.
There's no way to do it that way.
BB Rexa does it. She's
Who
lucky.
does?
BB Rexa.
Okay.
She's a good example. She obviously she plays huge like stadiums and arenas and stuff. But like if you were to see her like at a coffee shop, you wouldn't be like, that's BB Rexa. Like she's very hard to.
Yeah. It takes a lot of discipline because you have to be mindful of, excuse me, any promotion you do, your family, your friends. When do the friends go from private to public because you might work with them? Because there's a crossover there. Are they on the same page with keeping their stuff private and you? So when you are with them, they also aren't sharing it. You know, there's a lot of things you have to keep in mind when trying to be very. I'm pretty private to a certain extent. Like you're in my home. A lot of bands come in my home, so it's like. Okay, I won't show them upstairs.
Right,
like
I'm not in your
there's a
bedroom
certain
right
level of privacy. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And like this camera, we're on camera, but you don't see anything. Like this isn't giving anything away that people don't know about. So there's a trick to it.
Yeah, and I also just noticed that certain people will go out of their way to come see me at work if they knew where I worked, or you know. And it's not that I don't want to see these people, but it is just really strange behavior to just show up at someone's job. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that's just at any job, you know, just because I work in a bar doesn't mean you can just show up at my job. So it is very, it's a little different. But no, I agree with you as far as like trying to find that line where your friends kind of interfere with that privacy or not. But I think it's just about knowing who your friends are.
Yeah, it's very tricky because some friends don't do the double life thing where they're like out in public. They just
they put
live their
out.
life.
Yeah.
So because of that, they just like put anything out because they're like, no one's looking to go above and beyond to. Maybe there's some exceptions. I'm sure women probably get it more with people trying to bother them. You're like, yeah. But on the internet, that is. And you're like, oh yeah.
I have so many horror stories.
You, on and off this mic, you are not the first woman to tell me that. Because I have a lot of women artists, musicians, different types of people on here. And I've heard this from every single one of them, especially in the music industry. And then anybody outside of the mic, if I'm talking about it, they tell me that.
Yeah.
And most guys, they're like, at the very worst, they might have like one story. And they're almost excited, like, oh yeah, this girl hit me up on the internet. You're like, wow, if it happened. Because it just doesn't, for the average man, it doesn't go that way. You know?
Yeah.
Most men don't deal with women bothering them a lot on the internet.
Yeah.
I would say there's a small percentage, like super famous men, sure. But most men just don't deal with that. So they're like, I don't get it. It's like, well, I think it's become so normal for women that when you do talk about it, like, oh, that sucks. But you're only talking about the small percentage of how much actually does happen because you don't probably want to sound like you're complaining or whining or whatever.
Or like gassing yourself. A lot of people think that you're flattering yourself when you tell them stories about how many like men come on to you in a day and how bothersome that is to someone like me who is very queer. Just like, it's
in the face. Right now your face is saying so much. Like right now your face is not saying like I'm trying to be pompous or look like I'm, great stuff, better stuff than anyone else because people talk on the internet. Mm-hmm. It's like you have this sigh, like physical, like...
It's an exhaustion.
Yeah, like exhaustion, where you don't have to say it. I'm like, oh, she's not joking. For real.
It's intense. And it's funny because I used to work, like I said, I worked in nightlife before, and I used to bartend a lot. And I've bartended at like some adult clubs and things like that. And I remember that it was interesting how much more suppressed those things were in that environment and how much more overt they are when I'm not in that environment, if that makes sense. So I get a lot more like crass, rude comments just in my day-to-day than I would in that environment where it's like freely available to happen.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah.
Do you mean like on the internet daily environment or like out and about?
Both.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I think the reason to answer your question why that is because it's in surplus, right? They don't really, when you come into like an adult club or things like that, the job of everyone there is to make you feel like everyone in the room wants you. It's very much like focused on you. It's an experience,
Mm-hmm.
And so because it's in such surplus, they don't have to be so like harassy about
I see.
it. You know what
it's
I mean?
in abundance. It's just all around you.
Yeah, it's their pickings. They can have whoever they want, and so it's a little bit different than, some stranger who doesn't know me and who knows he's never going to see me again trying to shoot a shot real quick,
I'll never get it. I'll never get it when men do that. It blows my mind. Because what I do get, but you don't act on it because we're intelligent, conscious beings is you have the thought of like, this person is pretty or beautiful or sexy or whatever your mind goes. You could think it all you want. And and there's no law against thinking something. But in what world has it ever worked to be like, do this cat call type of thing? It's never worked. It doesn't work. So I know that. So I've always been, I could think like, oh, this person's cute or pretty or interesting, but I would never go beyond that. I would just be like, but like, that's going to be so weird and uncomfortable and awkward and rude to just say something to her. So I'm just not going to say anything.
I have a theory. I think that it's rejection therapy. I think they do it on purpose.
You got a lot of theories. I like your theories.
I think they do it on purpose so that they can kind of muster up the courage to approach the person that they really like. So I think it's a therapy for themselves.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's a backwards therapy.
Well, I've noticed that a lot of men, not all men, of course, but a lot of men who think like this or who do things like this, they're often very self-centered and they're focusing on their egos. So they're not too concerned about how you feel when they catcall you.
Of course not.
They're concerned about how they feel. They don't even really care if you respond to them or not because you can just keep walking. Most of the time, they don't. A lot of the time, they will get angry at you and start telling you, I didn't want you anyway, or some kind of crazy stuff. But I think they do this to desensitize themselves so that they can actually, like, pursue women in their private lives.
That's so dark.
Yeah.
Because the best people, man or woman, that you'll find in life is by being the best version of yourself. In my experience, best friends I've made.
That's heavy.
The best people in my family, the best friends I've made, the best people I've dated have been because I was like trying my best to be my own best self, and then it connects better. But to like go down to like use that logic, which I believe you definitely, because it makes sense, not to me because I couldn't fathom doing that, but it makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's a weird thing because it's like if you think you're going to find a really amazing, successful, beautiful partner, man or woman, it doesn't matter. Why would it happen like that?
Right.
Like that's not going to attract someone. They're going to be like, this person, for lack of better words, is like being a loser right now by doing this. It's the opposite of what someone really wants.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's sad to be like, I'm going to do this so I can get like my reps in for the person I really want to go with.
Yeah. Yeah. It's either that or it's just if we're not going to think too deeply about it, it would just be the fact that they just view women as objects and they just want to yell at them.
Yeah. That's why I have a hard time using, I think I might have spoken about this on this podcast, but I have a hard time using the word female.
Thank you.
Because I worked at UPS for 7 years, and most of the people I worked with there were minorities, either Black or Hispanic, and I'm half Mexican, so I like kind of get the Hispanic culture a little bit more. But I would work with these guys, these young Black guys, 18, 19, and they only ever said female when talking about a human woman. And one time I said this young guy, I was probably 23, and I was like, hey, I noticed that whenever you talk about a human woman, you say female, but female is what scientists use to describe animal species that aren't human.
Right.
They say male and female. They don't say that woman zebra over there and that man elephant. They say female and male. But when it comes to humans, we've gone beyond that with our ability to think, rationalize, and understand. And we say man, woman, boy, girl, lady, gentleman, whatever version of that, but like that's how we use it. And it helps to put everyone at a human level to see eye to eye that we're all equals. And this blew this kid's mind. He's like paused and looked at me. He probably never heard anyone tell him this his whole life.
Yeah.
You know, South Side Chicago rough guy. And he was just like, I never thought about it like that. He's like, you're right. It looked like it broke him. He was just like, man, I don't know what to do. Like, that's how all my friends talk. That's how everyone talks. And I'm like, yeah, it's not, it seems innocuous on the surface level when you glaze over it. But when you really dig deep into it, it's like you're not humanizing the woman when you're saying female this, female that, female that. Because when the women talk about men, they don't say male, male, male.
Right.
In certain circumstances, they will probably to prove certain a kind of point. But they'll just say man, boy, gentleman, dude, whatever. They don't go to the male part, turning us into like this animal or this object. We definitely in our
conversations don't say, those males were getting on my nerves today.
Exactly.
We say the men.
Exactly.
We don't say we hate all males. We say we hate all men.
Yeah, but I will hear a lot of men say female this, female that. And I'm like, no other indication of human, just female.
Weird. Yeah.
So I don't know. I've heard that a lot, and it drives me crazy when I hear people say that. I'm like, you got to stop that. It's a bad habit. If you learned it as a kid, I don't hold it against you. That's the environment you're in. But like slowly try to get that out of your vocabulary, you know?
That's so refreshing to hear out of a male's mouth.
Nice.
No,
that was good.
Thank you. No, my brother used to say it, and I had to literally tell him give him the same speech, essentially, because he didn't understand. He was like, I'm not saying anything wrong. You are a female. And I was like, I'm a woman. And I had to explain to him, like, you are describing me by, like, my anatomy and not my humanity. And that is a problem.
Right. It brings you to, like, an animalistic level.
Yeah.
And we're, in a sense, we're, like, above that. Not that animals are not important, but, like, we're humans. We interact in a way that nothing else does.
Yeah.
We have podcasts and have intellectual conversations. Like, you know, the monkeys aren't doing that. They're close, but they're like way behind on doing that. And yeah, it helps a lot to start to learn that way, how to talk to each other. And I don't get it, especially when I see guys that had grown up with sisters and moms, and they still could be a guy that catcalls and hits on someone in a very uncomfortable way. It's like, you have like sisters and moms, maybe a daughter. It's like, come on.
You want to know something? In the Black community, there's a huge situation where men will talk about how much, or Black men, I should say, will talk about how much they don't like Black girls, they don't like Black women, as if they didn't come from a Black woman.
I've heard that, but like obviously I'm not entrenched in that, so I don't know exactly what that means or comes from, but I've heard that.
It's a thing. Again, my brother did that once upon a time. He's married to a Black woman now, so he's clearly grown out of that phase. But I remember that was a thing. And, you know, it is very disheartening that as Black women, we already are statistically the most hated. You know, we are both women and Black. We are the most hated kind of group, I guess. So it was really hard to know that the men in our communities were also advocating for that same level of hate instead of lifting us up, because Black communities are very matriarchal. So it's very interesting that that's the common consensus about Black women amongst Black men, is that they don't want to date us, they don't want to be with us, you know?
Why do you think that is?
I think there's resentment toward the fact that we're matriarchal. And I think they're trying to pull us down a little bit because, well, this is going to go deep, but in like the way that systemic racism is set up, we have in, you know, our culture, or in the United States culture, I should say, the culture of the U.S.
It's a very unique one.
Yeah, the men kind of run everything. Specifically, the white men run everything. You know, look at our Supreme Court. It's like 99% white, essentially. I think there's like one Black person on there. And so historically, just men have run everything. And so I think that when we, as our Black communities, look at our own communities and we see that it's so matriarchal, I think the men in our communities resent that, you know, because white people are not like that. So there's kind of this longing from a lot of pain to be like white people.
Yeah.
And as I, you know, have watched the generations coming up after me and everything, I'm seeing that change a lot. So that's good news. But I think that's why it is. I think it's just resentment toward our women for not being like, you know, white people that we, when I was very young, looked up to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
that's just my theory.
it makes sense, and it's sad because you have a lot of theories. One of my theories are
I think a lot.
Anyone who has a type of hate or wanting to bring someone down or doesn't like that someone else is excelling or doing this or that, whether it be Black individuals, Hispanic, Middle Eastern, Asian, it doesn't matter. Anyone that isn't white, they just don't have anything good going on in their life. I've never felt a sense of competition for anyone. If someone wanted to be a mayor or a president or a police chief or a tech executive or a famous musician and they were a Black woman or anything, like why do people care? Like, are they the right person? Go ahead, do it. Like, I don't know why it matters. Do you not have anything going on in your life that you're not involved with that keeps you at peace? And
exactly.
I have so much stuff I'm excited to do, and I do so many things. Why should I care that there is a Black business owner? Like, good. I'm glad that there is. Like, I want more diversity in this world, in this country.
Unfortunately, everyone doesn't want more diversity.
The diversity thing blows my mind. Women doing like, if a woman wants to do that, go ahead. If she doesn't, then don't.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
You would be surprised how many dates I've been on where the question of why I don't want to have kids comes up and it becomes a hostile conversation.
Really?
Yes.
Why don't you want to have kids? I'm going to get really upset about that. I mean,
I can't answer that.
So you don't have kids at all?
No. Oh my God, no.
Why? How not? Why not?
No. I personally, I think it'd be great to be a father because you don't got to do any of the work. You don't have to grow it, pop it out, and get surgery to repair what popped out.
It depends. No, with that, no. As far as
the children itself.
There's two extreme, my girlfriend and I talk about this a lot. There's two extreme parts of being good parents with a nuclear family where you stay together and you both work. And this is a thing that women experience and men can't comprehend. And then there's this other part that men experience that women can't comprehend. And the thing is, because it takes two to tango, we need both of us to make this happen.
Right.
It's not a competition. I don't know when this became a competition, like women, this and men. It's like, wait a minute. First of all, men do a lot of crazy stuff. And by crazy, I mean like a lot of the hard, awful jobs. A lot of men do. But I can't give birth. And that is an insanely hard job that I don't want to do.
You're very lucky.
And I also don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And women do have to do it. And in the right...
That's so annoying, too. Why just us? Why couldn't it just be random?
That would be interesting, wouldn't it? In this situation, if all things are good, then hopefully the father, is working to sustain the baby and the mom while they're in this position.
Right.
That makes sense. It's like, okay, I can't have a kid. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you, but I'll work and make money so we can have it, and the kid can have food and go to school, and we can have a life and go on vacations, and that's fine. The problem is when that doesn't work, which happens a lot in the world and in America. Yeah. Because it's like, that's the other pressure that a good man, and I hope they're still out there, face, which I faced from my dad, which is all he did was work. He was around, but he worked a lot to sustain our family because our mom was focused more on the kids. And you get this undertone of embedded, like, you have to work. You almost have to, like, be a workaholic, work, provide. If you're not, you're, like, not a man. And that's another kind of a pressure.
It's so unfortunate. It's
another kind of pressure. It's why you see so many men working way too much and working way too hard.
That's why suicide rates amongst men are so high.
Yeah. And I had this conversation with women. I'm like, it's not a competition. I'm not saying we're better because we make more money on average or work harder to get it. That's not it. It shouldn't be a competition. We're trying to work together here.
Right.
We're all on the same side.
Yeah. It'd be wild to say that they're better because they make more, because women don't have a say in that. Like, we could easily make more if we were paid more.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. It's a multi-dimensional conversation.
There's so much. We could go for hours and hours on that.
We could. It's like both are true at the same time. It's like right now in this moment in time, the men are working more hours, and it's a pressure you feel to do it. It's like, I can't have a kid. I don't have to wait around for 10 months from inception to when it's birthed. So, like, I'm just going to work, and I got to provide, and I got to work. And if you go to a party, how many times someone goes to a man, like, what do you do if they're really close, trying to figure out how much you make, where do you go to college, all these, like, weird pressures that are just super heavy when you're like, I'm trying to provide for my wife, my kid, maybe I got to take care of my parents. Yeah. And I got to protect the house if there's suspicious kids out there. I got to make sure I can protect them. And, it's when my girlfriend's scared, I'm the one who has to go out and look, like she heard a noise. I got to go look. She's not doing it. Yeah. Which makes sense. I wouldn't want her to. I'm like, you can't help it. So it's not, I don't like the competition thing. I wish we could be a little bit more harmonious. It's like we both have different types of places in life and survival. It's really survival that are both 100% necessary. Like, earn and protect and keep things safe, and, like, give birth and earn and, like, do what you can. Like, it's so complicated because the baby thing just changes everything. It changes everything.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't know how to say this. I always said that if I ever found out I was pregnant, I would just, like, throw myself down the nearest cement stairs.
Cement.
So
Can't be wood.
Gotta be cement.
Can't be carpeted.
It has to be cement.
Carpet would work too.
I don't know. I gotta go full send. 100%.
Carpet, you still got padding, but still the same force when you hit. So I don't know.
That's true. Those edges of the concrete, though, very important.
I'm just thinking of the skin getting ripped off. All that road rash. Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah. You are on a highway to hell, aren't you?
I am very much.
She's wearing an AC/DC shirt. That's why I said it.
It's so cool. I got it from Target for $8.
I was like, who buys these shirts? I always wonder, like, who buys these band shirts at
Women.
Target? Like, women buy them.
I go to the men's section and I get all the band tees.
My favorite are the women that dress their husbands or boyfriends. It cracks me up. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, how do you not know how to dress yourself?
I would literally never do that.
That's what I'm saying. How do you not know how to dress yourself?
Yeah.
And how do you not have the conversation with your partner, like, am I your child? You're dressing me now? You're like, there's a couple circumstances where it makes sense. I have a friend who's colorblind. So his wife helps coordinate clothes.
It's definitely a special circumstance.
But, like, he still picks the clothes, but she picks the colors because he, like, it's all messed up. It's.
I'm sure at some
cute,
point
actually.
He has, like, committed certain shirts to memory to know what fits.
Probably puts labels on them and stuff, like some tape.
No, I dated someone who I didn't dress him, but I remember thinking that I could help influence the way his style looked like because he was very muscular. He was very, like, just ripped, and he would wear super baggy clothes. And I'm like, why do you work so hard if you're not gonna, like, show it off? So I always would, like, just hype him up if he was wearing something a little bit more snug. You'd be like, oh, I like how that shirt looks on you.
It cracks me up because I've never, ever, and nor will I ever hear a man go like, yeah, I gotta dress my girl, I gotta pick out her stuff. Like,
I've heard people do that.
You've heard of men dressing? Whoa.
You've never seen, like, in movies too when they, like, throw a dress in the bed and they're like, wear this tonight, see you at 7 or whatever.
That sounds like
it's
some
a thing.
rich prick dickhead that's just like, you're gonna wear this because I make $1 million a year. And like that's what that sounds.
That's what
like.
I think too. But honestly,
I've never
maybe
seen that.
maybe what he did was he bought the dress for her and then put it on the bed.
That's different.
Yeah.
And if a woman laid out a suit for me, I'd be like, oh shoot, that's pretty cool. Like for like, wear this tonight. Like,
Yeah.
you just spent $400. I'll wear this.
If a woman did it, I feel like the intentions would be different. Like
Yeah.
she's just like, you look so good in this way. But then dude's just like, I run you, I control you. Wear this dress right now.
Yeah.
It feels so different.
Yeah, it's more revealing, more
Right.
elegant. It's hard to be revealing in a suit. Yeah, there's just some weird dynamic thing amongst people. And when it comes to like, heterosexual men and women in that kind of relationship, it's very interesting what happens.
Yeah, I'm so glad I'm not heterosexual.
You're like, thank God.
Oh my God.
I am, but I've never understood the dressing. It's like you never, like at 30, like by your 30th birthday, if you haven't developed a sense of style, fashion, or your own unique version of it, whatever it is, everyone's different. What have you been doing for 30 years? Like,
Yeah, I had a guy pretend he didn't know how to run a washing machine, and he was 27 years old. I was like, my God, you know how to run this washing
they're
machine.
so easy.
I think it was just weaponized incompetence. I think he
Yeah.
was doing it to make me do it, and I just was like, I guess you're gonna have dirty clothes.
I've never understood that either. Like, like this cliche, like, oh, my girl does like the shopping and the laundry and like vacuums. Like, you don't know how to vacuum?
Right, like, why don't we both just do what needs doing?
Yeah.
How about that?
I would never need someone to do any of those things for me. If they did it out of kindness because I was busy and I had to like go to a long day at work and they surprised me like, oh, I did your laundry for you. Like, that's so nice. I would never expect it. And I know how to do my own and how to hang them. One thing I did learn from someone I dated a while back was not to put like your shirts and pants and stuff in the dryer.
Really?
And to hang dry them, they last a lot longer. Because the dryer is the thing that breaks down the material and you get all the holes and you start having like some material come off your collar and your armpit. You get more holes in your clothes.
See, I get
didn't know
$8 shirts from Target.
See,
So I'd throw that shit in the dryer.
I don't get $8 shirts from Target. And when you finally like, when you grow up doing the thrift store hand-me-down thing, you finally get some decent jobs.
Adult money.
And not even like a ton of money, but like decent jobs where you're like, okay, I can finally buy like a $50 shirt. And you're like, why? But I wasn't used to that. So I'd always wear the same shirt for every task. I'm quite a physical, handy person. So if I had to like go fix something like the door or the toilet, I'd still wear the same clothes that I would wear to go play basketball or go play music or do a podcast or record. And I started trashing my shirts or not having them look nice under circumstances, which they should. So I started having certain shirts for certain things and then taking care of them. And they last so much longer. The dryer's like for boxers or underwear or socks and like towels. That
See, you're teaching me something. I never knew this.
you can put anything in it, but it will break it down over time. The heat and the movement breaks down the material. So if you hang dry it, it's gonna be more wrinkly. So you have to do two things. You either have to like stretch while it's wet.
Laundry podcast, guys.
Yeah, while it's wet, you either stretch it out and hang dry it, or you put it in the dryer once it's dried for a day overnight. Put it in the dryer for like 5 minutes on like a tumble low heat, just to get some of the wrinkles out. Or you can iron. You have like 3 options, but
That's true, that's true.
they will be more wrinkly if you just hang dry them. But that's just my clothes
This is
are
good
more
to
wrinkly.
know.
But
Thank you for this information.
I'm here all day.
I'm going to have to get you to write me a little PDF or something on how to do all of this.
I never knew it. I never knew how to do that. Oh, I did hear that. I just didn't do it, you know. And it really kind of takes having nicer clothes to start doing that, because you start to be like, I want to make this expensive shirt last many years, you know.
See, if I spent $50 on a shirt, I think it would be I'd do it like once a year. I wouldn't be able to do that like very often.
I wait for fun, like money I wasn't expecting. You know, you get an extra like side gig that pays well, and you're like,
See,
I want to get some new clothes with this.
I throw every penny I make back into music. It's such a disaster.
Me too.
It's just rent and
done
music.
That. Yeah, I got past that stage because I was like, oh, I own like above and beyond what I thought I'd ever own in doing this. But like the first decade, from 16 to 26, 20, like your age, it was all this equipment, cables, lights, cameras, many layers of it, speakers, amps, guitars, just all of that. And now I'm like, I have everything I need. Like, what? I don't need this stuff anymore. So now I finally Can I have a nicer car and nicer clothes?
I would love a space like this. It's just so cool.
It's nice, right?
It's really cool.
It's cool. It works. It's slightly smaller than my old studio in Hickory Hills. But I have less stuff in it because I have less roommates that I'm like, I used to hold onto their equipment.
Mm-hmm.
At the old place, there was like 40 guitars lining the walls and guitar amps everywhere. But they weren't all mine. They were roommates and friends. It was like the public, all my close friends, like the public storage of like music equipment, which looks really cool, but then you gotta maintain it. It's dusty. It sometimes gets in the way. My basement flooded, so you always have to like worry about that stuff. But this works. I like it. But it is a good thing. I recommend that what you said, like if you want to do a craft, art, music, photography, film, put as much, besides what you need to get by on food and rent, your car payments, whatever that is, like put it into that. It's sad when you see like a really talented artist, musician, and you hear them complain like, oh, I don't have enough for this, I don't have that, but you see what they're spending their money on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I used to have this conversation all the time with younger people when I would work with them. My students, I have a lot of students right now, and when they talk about how they don't have enough money for a microphone or interface, I always say, do you spend money on cigarettes, weed, alcohol, or a man or woman, like anybody? If you do, stop for a year, and when you just saved up 15, 20 grand because you didn't spend it all on those 4 things or going out to eat on dumb food, and you saved up 15, 20 grand, you could buy so much stuff with that. And you do that for 5 years, you have $100,000 you didn't know you had. You have everything you'll ever need. And then you have it and you own it. And you can buy certain, like these microphones will last forever, these cables. The only thing you need to upgrade are digital technologies, like audio interfaces, digital cameras. Eventually they're outdated. They might not even function anymore with their firmware and software updates. But hard analog things, guitars, microphones, mic stands, cables, like these things, you take care of them, you'll have them until you die. So like invest in that stuff and like you'll be good for a long time. But it's hard to convince a 20-year-old, a 19-year-old, a 21-year-old that they see the parties and the fun and the night going out, and it's hard to not do that and resist. But it takes discipline, you know. You got to invest in your craft.
Very true. I always write off everything I spend on an investment in my craft.
Yeah.
And that's just how I feel. Like I always feel so guilty, but I'm like, no, this is what I want to do. And I'm doing this for my future, for my music. And sometimes I'll let it justify insane purchases.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, I definitely did not have the money to shoot my most recent music video. I didn't have it. But I paid it.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, this is an investment. The last music video I dropped was 5 years ago, you know, so I need a new video, and I'm in a new city, and I'm getting all this new traction and new attention from people. And so I just was like, I need to show that I have a body of work, that I'm still doing this, you know? And so it was an investment in my future and an investment in my brokenness because I'm struggling.
Music videos can cost a lot of money.
It costed a pretty penny.
Especially if you're like, don't have deep connections, like they're not, you're like super close, or you can't trade, you know.
Well, I got lucky with this one in particular because I worked with Josh Jones. This was for my most recent music video. It's called Am I? And I released that on July 21st, so it's still pretty fresh. And when I got lucky with him because, one, he's worked with some amazing artists. He's worked with like Cardi B, Tink, like Dixie D'Amelio.
Oh, wow.
Like, a bunch of just... Steve Aoki, I think, was in one of his videos. Like it was just he works with very, very big artists, and he was in the Chicago area, and we had both followed each other on Instagram. So we just were aware of each other. But when I saw he was in Chicago, I just messaged him and I was like, hey, I kind of want to shoot a video. Originally, I was working on a different project it was a collaboration with a different artist, but we ended up scrapping it. So I just was like, I still want to work with this guy.
Yeah.
So I reached out to Josh Jones and I just was like, listen, you are so talented and I'd love to work with you, but your stuff looks like it costs $1 billion. And he told me how much it cost, and it was, in fact, $1 billion. Then
so that's you've been saving up for your life.
Yeah. But then he said he really liked my song. He really liked my music. And he liked how I sounded on the phone. He just thought I was cool. So he just was like, you know, I'll do it for 90% off.
He hooked it up.
He hooked me up.
That's awesome.
And shot me the most beautiful video.
Don't you just love that?
Yeah.
Sometimes it pays to be a genuine, kind, eager person.
Yeah, I think a big part of it is that eagerness, for sure. Like when people see, exactly.
Yes.
People see that you're doing this for the love of it. You're not doing it for any other reason. And I think that was something that Josh appreciated. I can't speak for him, but I think he appreciated that about me just because I know that he lives in LA, and I know that it's a little harder to come across people that you can feel authentic with.
I've heard that a lot about LA.
I felt that way.
From everyone I've ever met that has been there, lived there, they all say that.
It's very.
They say they'll find like some circles that are cool, but it's a lot of.
It's a lot of fakeness.
Fakery.
Yeah. So I think he appreciated those things about me, and I think that's kind of how we ended up making such an amazing video. So
that's really cool. Where can people find that video?
It's on YouTube.
Like, tell them like where to find it exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just youtube.com/FridayJames.
I know it's on YouTube. I'm just saying what you should type in to get on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, you'll type in "Am I?" So Josh and I worked on it in June, and we released it in July. And yeah, you just go on YouTube, you type in Friday James, Am I official music video, and you'll
letters
see it.
A-M-I. What does that stand for?
Am I?
Am I?
Yeah.
Oh, I was saying A-M-I.
Oh no, am I?
Am I?
I'm from Nashville. Give me my accent a second.
It's not that strong. You've lost it in your LA, Chicago adventures.
Thank you.
I think you also, are your parents from Nashville?
Yeah. My mom is.
I feel like depending on what your family does for a living, the accent can be enhanced or kind of lost.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, like I said, we were in Clarksville, Tennessee. So I think, honestly, I was very embarrassed about my Tennessee accent.
I'm saying I don't hear it. I've heard it my whole life. I grew up camping there. Like, that's what my family vacations were. We're camping in Tennessee. Knoxville, Tennessee, specifically Townsend, Tennessee. I used to love it, but it was my first exposure to like extreme Southern twang.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard it a lot going to Indiana a lot. I have family there, but nothing compared to like Kentucky and Tennessee, specifically Tennessee.
Yeah.
And then Tennessee is nothing on Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia. Holy cow. I've heard people where I didn't know what they were saying.
Yeah,
Like,
I have
English,
family like that.
but I don't know what English is. I don't know it. I'm gonna try to figure it out. Not trying to be rude. I just like didn't like. Wow, this country's vast and diverse when it comes to our own language.
Yeah, I think I I have a lot of family who have really, really deep accents, but I personally tried to cover it a lot when I was younger because I got made fun of for it a lot.
How did you hide it?
A lot of TV, just watching TV and copying them. Yeah,
music,
and then,
TV, podcasts, just hearing people speak.
I was very Southern when I was a little girl. My mom used to say that because my last name's James. But my mom used to say that when I was a little girl, I would say Jimes.
James.
Yeah, I was very country.
That's great. Can you bring it back? Like, yeah. You're like, James.
Yeah, I felt it coming through a little bit when I was talking about it a second ago. So
yeah, it's not that noticeable, to be honest. Like, you almost sound like someone who grew up around other people who were from the South, but you weren't. That's how much you were like separated from it.
Yeah, I think my mom did the same thing though. I think she also pulled her accent back, so I just was copying her a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she has it. Like, I hear her on the phone sometimes, and I'm just like, you sound country as hell.
And it probably depends on your set and setting. Like, if you go back to visit family and you're around your peers, I bet you it starts to come out again.
Yeah.
And then you go to a big city like LA, Chicago, New York, and it probably like goes away.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's definitely faded a lot since I've gotten here, thankfully. And I've noticed my Chicago A's are coming out because I've been saying Chicago sometimes.
Chicago. Hey. I love it. I love the Chicago accent. That's also kind of fading because that's a thing of an older generation. Now that there's been this like melting pot of massive cities and TikTok and Spotify and the internet and podcasts and movies, all this international stuff being put around.
We're all going to have one accent soon.
No, I mean, what probably will happen over the next couple hundred years is of a more unified accent and a lot more like racially ambiguous people, because so many people have been mixing. That's only been more of a recent thing the last couple hundred. It's always happened, but it's been way less than now.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm actually really thrilled about it too, because I just love the idea of all of us just kind of finally understanding each other to the point where like it's not freaky to see interracial couples.
Yeah.
Like, I never thought it was freaky. I always thought that it was just the most cool thing, you know? And they always have the prettiest kids.
I've never thought about it because my dad is Mexican, my mom is not. She's Caucasian.
See,
so it's
I thought about it a lot as a child, especially. But when I started dating, my first like few boyfriends were white, and my family had so much to say about it. And it was just very interesting. And like, I just can't imagine in this day and age that like being still a big deal now to my family. You know, like they would not care now. But when I was younger, it was like it was a deal. And it's crazy because it wasn't that long ago. It was like 10, 15 years ago.
Maybe just maturity. I don't know. I don't know what it is, because I could see that it's always been a weird thing. Like in the past, it was a weird thing. But it took a long time for people to be okay with it. And some people still aren't. I'm sure you go to certain parts of this country and they're not cool about it.
A big one too, because I have also been dating a lot of East Asian and Filipino men lately, and women as well. And I've noticed that depending on which you're from, like which, you know, their families receive me different ways. You know, and so I noticed that like my East Asian people I would date, their families were not very accepting of me because they're still very, very traditional. Whereas like my like Filipino friends or anything like that, they would very often be very welcoming, and they found me very beautiful. You know, so it's just so interesting the dynamics there, and how differently you'll be received just as a Black person in general, but also just as an interracial dater, you know, like I date who I want, you know, so it's
absolutely
just, it's so funny to see how much family history and kind of traditions are intertwined with dating and relationships for me, especially now in my life, you know, as I get older. It's very interesting.
yeah, it is. I don't get it. I don't get why people make a fuss about it. It's like, man, are they happy? Do they enjoy each other? Why do you care?
Right. Like, what?
The skin tone they have.
Yeah, or the genitals.
Or their genitals,
like,
anything.
Let them be.
I don't get it. Like,
why are you so upset?
Gay marriage stuff is just like, why do you care?
I don't get why people get so mad. Like, why are you so angry?
It's not going to do anything. It's not going to affect anyone's life. Yeah. It's only going to make the people that are a part of that happier, which makes society like, I don't get it.
I have some family who are still they're elderly folks who are set in their ways, and they say some homophobic stuff to me sometimes. They don't really know much about my sexuality. I keep that all very, you know, separate from my family, especially. But they are in their ways because they're old and like 80, you know, but they're still of sound mind. And so sometimes I'm just like, don't you want to be better than that? Aren't you tired of feeling like that? Aren't you tired of feeling enraged every time you see something you don't like? Like, maybe just mind your business.
Unnecessary stress.
Yeah.
I think about that stress sometimes of being mad about what other people are doing. Like,
that's
what
so
other people
wild.
are doing. It's like, why?
Like, dude, I'm already mad enough as it is. I don't need to be mad about other people.
I'm mad at the fact that people are mad about things. I'm like, why do we gotta be mad about stuff? Like, find what you love to do, be around good people, find someone you love, travel, work, educate yourself, listen to different thoughts.
I think it's funny. Whenever people are mad about other people's lives, I just think it's hilarious because I'm just like, you seem bored. Like you said before, like you don't have anything going on.
Yeah, have some stuff going on. Pick up some hobbies. You'll start going away. You'll start sleeping a lot better.
Yeah. You'll probably grow your hair back.
Yeah. Probably grow your hair back. Probably lose some weight. Trust, you know, like just...
Maybe your teeth will whiten. Just wonder what it's like to just not be full of hate.
Anything.
Like, do that for a second. Spend a day. I used to tell my grandma this, too. Like, try to spend a day not complaining. I almost said bitching, but I wouldn't cuss at my grandma. Try not to complain all day.
That's what you meant to say. Yeah. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
It's... I know. I can't even be around people like that anymore. If I like have an old friend or I meet someone new, they're like that constant negative. Not really complaining is one part of it, but just negative this, why that, or they're questioning you like, Friday, why are you doing that? Why would you spend that money on a music video? Why are you doing a podcast? Why are you doing live sessions? Why do you stay out so late? So it's just like, why? I'm doing because I want to.
Yeah.
Why else would I be doing it?
And why isn't me wanting to enough of an answer?
Yeah,
maybe I just want to.
I want to try something.
Yeah, for the story, for the plot.
You're not. It seems like you're not afraid of failure.
I'm massively afraid of
Are
failure.
you really?
Oh, yeah.
Why do you doing all these things that are so close to a higher chance of failing? The music industry is like,
I don't really think of it that way. I mean, I'm afraid of failing because of mistakes I make.
okay.
I'm not afraid of, I don't know of a way to fail at like asking to, hang out with someone or, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like I could fail at this. If anything.
I was more thinking like taking on the music industry.
Oh, I don't really know how to fail. All I have to do is just keep doing it.
Okay, so it's all about a matter of your perspective.
Yeah.
Like what others would see is if, like, say you recorded an album and say, I'm just making this up, say it cost $5,000 and it only got a handful, maybe a couple hundred streams and it just like never took traction. Where someone who's looking at that and they hear that and like maybe it's an aunt or an uncle and they're just like, Friday, like, why would you, like, that's such a waste of money, you like failed at that. But in your mind, you can be like, no,
I made
an
it.
album.
Yeah.
Who
Making
else,
it
like,
a success.
how many
in
people
itself.
make an album? Like in our circles, it seems like everyone, but really
Right.
the number of people on this planet who make their own full-length record is very small. It's not a lot of people.
Yeah.
So like, no matter what you did, it's not a failure. Even if barely anyone hears it, it's like, no, you made an album.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. I
Yeah,
think
okay.
that's why I'm not. It's not even, to answer your question. I'm afraid to fail all the time, but that's because of my own actions. I'm afraid to make such a colossal mistake that I can never come back from it. But I don't think there's a way for me to fail at making music because I can always make music. I can make music whether 2 people are listening to it or 1,000 people or 100,000 people are listening to it. I've never cared about the numbers. I've never cared about how many views I got. If anything, I will acknowledge those things because people like to feel appreciated. And so whenever I like first got 1,000 views in a video, like I thank the people who watched it, know. But I never was like, I hope this gets 1,000 views. I hope it gets 100,000. Like I would never think like that. I'm like, I made this and it's out in the world and I'm really happy.
That's the right mindset.
Yeah. And it's also just getting it out of my brain. I think I have too much going on up here.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I'm creative, it's like I finally get it out and there's more room and I can relax a little bit. So I think that's all it's about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good mindset. I think that's the right way to look at it.
Thank you.
The failure are, it's an obstacle and obstacles are opportunities,
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. So my band.
Oh yeah, back to DR, right?
DC.
Back to Doctor.
Back to the Dominican Republic.
Back to DC Diet Coke. Okay. Wow, we went
we went so far. We went on a mile run.
We went on. Oh my God, we went
What time
on
is
an
it?
hour tangent
Oh wow.
away from that initial question.
So my band.
Isn't that funny? How fast this just goes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially when you can have a good conversation. So.
Oh, thanks.
I'm really glad to be here today. I wanted to acknowledge that too. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for reaching out. This is cool. I'm into it. I enjoy talking to all different types of people, and I really enjoy different artists, musicians, ones I know well, ones I don't know well, and people from different walks of life. It's I don't need to talk to another guy my age. I do that all the time.
Oh my God, men with microphones, please. That's like a whole thing. Just the 2 guys on a mic.
Tell me more.
Podcasts, men podcasters. You haven't. Oh yeah, you're not on social media.
No, I guess you're right. I see it, but I have a lot of different. I think the last 3-4 guests have been women. I don't know. I try to keep it 50-50.
I saw some of my friends were here. Yeah.
Yeah. Which one?
Ayana was here.
Ayana Brown.
Love
Bay.
her. She's so
She's
good.
amazing.
She's so
Great
good.
voice. Super cool.
Some of her band is in my band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm seeing this now.
Yeah.
Then they're all great because I know everyone in the R&B, jazz, alt rock, indie rock world of Chicago, which I've been able to work with and be around for so long, are all amazing. Such great people, very fun, very nice, very creative. I've worked with them a lot. A lot of them have played my festivals, so yeah, it's cool. That's cool.
Ayana's a very talented, amazing artist. And
Such a good voice.
I actually, oh my God, yeah. And I ran into her at work, she came in for a show one night, and she I
So
saw
you
her.
work at a bar that has shows.
I do. I work in music venues. I prefer music venues.
Okay.
It's easier to make.
By the time we end this
connections.
conversation after Rough Mike, I'm going to try to guess it with one guess.
I'll just tell you.
No, I want to guess it.
Okay.
Based on context. Like what
Perfect.
Okay.
But I ran into her, and she and I got to chatting, and I was like, "Hey, I saw you were on DZ Records podcast, like the Bending Brains podcast." And she was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "What did he ask you about?" And she was like, "Why?" And I said, "Well, because I'm going to be on it soon, and I don't know what he's going to ask me." And I was like, "I thought he was going to send me a sheet or something. Like, I have no idea." And she was like, "No, just he asked me about me.
We just talk."
Yeah.
I know it's like kind of flattering. I don't know why. It's just like nice. It's like I've been on podcasts and done interviews, radio stuff, and yeah, they have plot points, bullet points. They have everything laid out. They're asking questions. They go through sheets. I don't edit anything. I don't write down anything. I just talk and just see what happens. 2, 3, 4 hours. Like, I don't know. Just
That's so ballsy. Because, like, what if you get someone in here and they're like a total fascist or something?
That might be an interesting conversation. I have been fortunate enough to hone in on, I guess you can call it, a skill of meeting and talking with people my whole life. It's kind of what I've been doing since I was a kid. That cabin I told you about earlier, the DZ, the creative space.
I saw the destruction of it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
When I built that when I was 15, even before that, I was already highly exposed to a ton of people because my family, it was the family house my grandpa built. My mom grew up in it. I grew up in it. And it always had people around all the time. And then my grandparents were known to my grandpa was a reverend, and he was known to let in people off the streets, give them a place to sleep. My mom and dad, not that loose because that's dangerous when you have kids, but they pretty close to it. Like my friends all stayed over. They always had missionaries from around the world staying there. I always had to give up my bed for them.
We had similar childhoods.
Really? Yeah, it made it fun because they clearly trusted me to be like, go camp out in the backyard. So-and-so has your bed tonight. But it gave...
the backyard is wild. That's crazy.
I lived a lot in my backyard. That's why I built that cabin there and a fest there because it's like, that's my life. And I got used to having a lot of people in my life. And then the clubhouse, cabin place, the DZ, hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of people hung out there over the course of that heyday. And then when my parents moved out and I decided to take over with some roommates and live at the house so I can keep growing when I do, I couldn't give you a number, but it's definitely in the ballpark of over 10, 15,000 people probably came through over the course of years of me.
Wow.
Yeah. Like parties, shows every month, the festival, which had thousands of people at it every year, events. I mean, I had many roommates. They had people over time. I was constantly meeting all different kinds of people, like everyone you could ever imagine. Homeless people where I've got to figure out what to do about the situation because if you don't know them, it's hard to have them in your house. You want to not expect anything like that, but you don't know what people are capable of that you don't know. And you get really comfortable and good at just like talking to people. So, and I also did a podcast before this with my cousin for 8 years called Friends at Music, where we'd interview.
That's why you're so good at this.
We interview the bands after we did a live session. We had to do the band thing.
I'm actually doing something similar to that soon too.
Nice.
With NPR.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I booked their sessions from Studio A.
Nice.
And so early September, we're going to be doing an interview and podcast.
That's very cool.
Like live session situation.
That's in Chicago? That's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. So you're just, oh yeah, you told me you were kind of like getting a bunch of stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. That's taking initiative. Go-getter mentality.
It's so interesting to hear the way that this kind of established.
Yeah, and this is the 67th episode of this rendition of this, where it's just me and one person. And that idea came from, I'm like...
67?
67 episodes of this.
Oh, I wish it was 69.
I could wait to release it until 2-4.
Let's do
No,
that.
you're 68.
No.
I could. You want me to?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to be 69.
All right, I'll make you 60. It sounds weird coming out of my mouth. I'm making sure you're 69. God dang it. After the decades of interacting with people from around the world, just everywhere, I thought to myself, because I would have these conversations just in private. Band's in town from New York or Dallas, and they're staying the night, and I'm up all night with the bass player talking about something, up all night with this guitar player talking about the history of Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, and you're just like, these stories and these people are amazing. I need to put two mics between these types of people I keep meeting or running into in my life.
That's amazing.
Because
I'm glad that you were able to identify it too.
You just feel it because when you meet and talk with a lot of people, way more than the average person does, you start to have a different like threshold of like what is wild. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
And so when things are like go beyond that meter, you're like, oh, save that. That's a great story. I'm gonna have you on my podcast. Or stuff is below that meter, you're like, maybe not. Yeah. So you have this type of dynamic to go between, and I started realizing, man, I've been meeting the most interesting people. You know, a doctor who plays guitar by night but is a doctor by day, or an attorney for what's it called, immigration law. Like all these different types of individuals. You're like, wait, you're an immigration lawyer, but you play in a rock band, and I just like recorded you screaming into a microphone, but you like save people's lives. I'm like, this is so cool. Like people need to hear that story. I'm tired. I love a bunch of different podcasts, but I'm kind of tired of the same thing.
Yeah.
Of just like,
that's what I was getting at. The men on the mics things. Like there's been a whole movement like ban men from buying microphones because of the podcast. Because the podcasts are always about how much they hate women, essentially.
Yeah, that's stupid.
It's so dumb.
It's like, listen, men who are attracted to women, you're never going to understand them because they're not you. And women who are attracted to men, you're never going to understand them because they're not you. And guess what? It goes even further. Women who are attracted to women, guess what? You're going to kind of understand them, but they're still not you.
Yeah.
They're not Friday, so you're not going to fully understand them. So, like, you're not going to fully get anybody on this planet.
It's just, it's such a wasted opportunity, like a very missed opportunity, because they could be talking about men's issues. Like, talk about the suicide rates. Talk about, talk about the societal pressure that being a man is, you know, because it is a patriarchy right now, and there's like a way that the world needs to be upheld by men, and talk about like the body image issues that men face. Like, talk about men's issues. Stop talking about women. We got us. We got us.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere. We're gonna be confused by you forever, and that's fine. I'm fine with that.
I would love to hear a podcast about like things that men are going through, but it's just always women.
I could tell you. I mean, women are a part of it, but that's because they're a part of your life. But that's that's the least of my serious overall pressures and problems. Is not a woman or any woman, really.
You must have a good woman.
She's pretty cool.
You mentioned her once or twice.
She's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's another one of those things where it's like private life, private.
Right,
yeah.
private life,
so
private.
I rarely let her see the light of this world, woman, because
really, I thought you meant keeping her private, not keeping.
No, I keep her. I keep them
her
separate
from this.
Yeah, because it's as you've dealt with rude or creepy or off-putting men. I work with a lot of people, and a lot of people come in my life, but also all the little things I've done have reached many different facets, and there's some strange things that have gone on out there. Yeah, and no person who I care about or love, friends or family, my niece, my girlfriend, anyone, my mom, they don't need these creepers on them. They don't need that at all. So it's like, I'm a guy, and I wouldn't want to mess with me. Let's just say that. I don't get mad easily, but I'm kind of like the Hulk when I do.
He'll take you in fisticuffs.
Oh, don't get me mad. So I keep that stuff private because the internet's a sketchy place.
Right.
People do weird stuff. There's been strange people reaching. It's always, that's another thing. It's usually a mental health problem. You know, someone reaches out and does some pretty heinous things. And unfortunately, there's been men in the past that have affected or hurt women around me, either that are just my platonic friends or someone I've dated. And it's like, I'm done with that. Like, hard wall. I have a podcast. I record bands. I do events. I do workshops. I keep them separate from all the personal stuff because it's like...
That's smart.
It's like, you know, just like you do. It's like, I do this and I do that, and they don't have to fully interact. I mean, there's some interaction. You can't fully get rid of it, but keep them separate. But yeah, the headaches, the stress of life, it's always going to be stresses of a relationship and stuff. But like, I expect that. I know we're going to have those things. But like the real fundamental things that actually might be creating some of the stresses in relationships are that stuff you grew up with, the patriarchy, the immense pressure to be a dominant, like, alpha leading man, which is, like, unnecessary and weird that you have to feel it, but you do. You can't help it. It's why a lot of men are more violent. They're more incarcerated. They're more unhoused. They're more likely to commit serious violent crimes, commit suicide, do nefarious things in society. It's because I think these pressures are they're very real. They're very real. They're just as real as any other unnecessary, unfortunate pressure that people feel.
And that's why I think it's so important to use these podcasts to talk about men's issues. Because we could be contributing to so much more. You know, awareness of those things would honestly garner more empathy from people who are unaware of them, and then we can start making steps toward fixing or at least helping to heal some of the problems that, you know, men face. So, you know, as much as I hate men, I still enjoy humans.
Don't hate them.
I hate them.
You probably hate the idea of the nasty ones that really ruin it for everyone.
That's definitely what I mean.
Yeah, it's the same thing when a man's like, women, this one is. It's like, no, you probably had a bad relationship, and now you can't bestow that on all women.
Right.
Like, it happens. You know, we've all been in them. I've had them too, and you're like,
yeah,
that was her. That's not everyone. So like, you can't. Yeah, it's also a very loud thing on the internet to, like, you know, men are pigs, men are this, and then for women, and then men are like, oh, women, they all want this high value man, but they won't. It's like, oh my God, you all need to do anything.
The high value thing is so annoying.
What does it even mean?
It means nothing.
What does it mean?
It means nothing. It's just words. It means not. Anyway.
I know.
We keep coming back to this stuff. Clearly, we both just have similar opinions on this.
My favorite thing to see on like Instagram, any place you could see a reel, it's everywhere now. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, you know, Twitter, X, whatever it is.
It's such a terrible rebranding. Oh my God,
it's bad.
It looks like a porn app.
It does. I thought it was at first. I was like, I didn't download this. I was looking at it, I was like,
did I click something?
Get this. It took me a while, and then I saw something in a different social media thing that said Elon Musk X, and I was like, oh my God, this makes perfect sense. I don't use it anyway. Once in a while, I'll post like a photo, like maybe a photo from this. I'll put, like just another thing to put out there, but
I don't post on Twitter.
I get off.
I just use it just to scroll.
Post and goes, get out. But my favorite videos are the ones where it's always some guy goes up to like a person in the street and just like, name a state that starts with A, and they're just like, Argentina, and you know what I'm saying? And just like, if this, I know it's hyper inflated into like the wrong direction to make people look stupid, but like if this is representing people right now, like we're so stupid. Like some people are so dumb, they like don't know the most easiest answers of things. Like how many numbers are on the clock? They're just like, digital clock? No, he's like, no, I'm talking about an analog clock. I don't know. And you're just like,
what's an analog?
Yeah, what's an analog clock? No, it's that's just funny. It's just goofy to see that stuff where you just like don't have, or when trying to like gotcha moments, like go to like a Trump rally and they're like, so you're for people's rights, right? And there's like, yeah, and like, so what about like this right? And they're like, no, and it's like, but you said you were like just the time. It's always trying to gotcha. And it's funny, but it's also dumb. And it's like, what are we doing? What is this game? Why are we always trying to gotcha?
Why does everyone have a microphone? Just put your microphones down.
There's a lot of microphones and there's a lot of cameras.
Everyone I think we should, collectively, as a whole, just stop talking.
Oh no. What are we going to do? We're talking right now with a camera and microphones.
Oh no. Except for this.
I think having some real long duration conversations that don't have a specific theme or motive behind them, like this podcast, hence the name. I just want to like bend each other's brains. It goes both ways. It's not one way.
Is that your segue into closing out the podcast?
No.
We need to bend each other's brains.
We're not even close.
That's all, folks.
We're not even close. No, I tend to go many hours. Did I text you that? Like, are you okay with this many hours?
You said 2 hours, right?
I said usually it's 2 to 3.
2 to 3?
I've done 4 before, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You'd be amazed. I mean, the first hour we spent on veering off your bass player in 1 hour to like everywhere else.
I'm the type to go for it too because I'm very long-winded, but I do have some commitment, so I won't be able to say.
How long do you have till?
Let me see. We got some time.
It's 8:50. How long do you have?
How long do you need?
I mean, whatever works. I don't. If you have to go in 10 minutes, you have to go in 10 minutes. You have to go in an hour, you have to go in an hour.
Am I allowed to check my phone?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to defeat the process. Hold on, let me see. Okay, cool. So I'm supposed to be going on a little date situation.
Is this a new date or
this is a new date?
You've never met this person?
Mm-mm. We have been talking for a while. We're supposed to be going night swimming. It's gonna be
Night
fun.
swimming? Where at?
My friend has a rooftop pool.
Ooh.
Yeah, in
River
the Loop,
North?
in the Loop.
Oh, okay. I was going to say it's either River North or the Loop.
Yeah.
That's the only places you're having a rooftop pool.
Yeah, so...
That's an interesting, bold first date.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like, let's
it's
get in bathing suits and
it's
go
a
swimming?
lady, so...
Changes everything.
It's a little different.
Yeah. See,
I wouldn't do that with a douche.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was like, wow, you are very bold. Like,
No, I would never.
I would do it, but I would be weary that I feel like the woman wouldn't want to do it with me. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I would, if a woman was like, hey, let's, like, if I was dating and she said, like, want to go in a rooftop pool in the South, I'm like, dude, that sounds fun. Totally, let's do it. I don't care.
If she invited you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, for the first step, like, I don't know you, but, like, this sounds fun. I'm all about, like, saying yes to everything. So I'm like,
Right.
sure, let's do it. And she's like, yeah, I want to skydive off the Sears Tower into a pool. Like, show me where to pull the plug. Let's do it.
Wow.
I'm all about the experience. But
Turn
I
up.
feel like if I flipped it and
It might
said
come off a
that,
little.
I'd be like, I feel like this isn't going to go well.
Yeah. It might come off. It depends on the conversation you had prior to that.
That's so different. Women. So you have a very unique perspective on humans
I do.
because dating different sex, there's so much difference.
Yes.
So much.
Yeah, it's the fun of being pan. You get to just
Yeah.
experience people as they are, for who they are,
Huh.
you know? And I think that's the easiest way to define, like, the way that I view dating. You know, I just want to meet the person as they are.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I like them, I like them.
That's cool.
It's pretty nice.
That's wild.
That's the only thing. I have to just like you. That's all it takes.
But there's still differences that come with it, like just like
Of
you just
course.
said.
Yeah.
What do you prefer?
What do you mean?
Which one is less? There's probably different like stresses or anxieties from either one, depending on the circumstance.
From each sex?
Yeah, depending on like the situation.
Well, it's tricky because I'm also very attracted to non-binary people too. So,
Okay.
and you know, I've been attracted to trans people. So, it's everyone.
Yeah, so it's all
But
over the place. Yeah.
I will say I do prefer women or people who resemble femme women
Huh.
because I will oftentimes only date men who look like women. Long
Yeah.
hair, smooth skin, like no facial hair.
Well, I'm glad we're on the same. You're like not
You're safe.
someone who even remotely resembles you.
You don't gotta do me like that.
No, it's funny. I am just a bear. I'm just a hairy beast, which is funny because in the gay world, a bear means something different.
Does it? I thought it did mean hairy dudes.
I think it means like a bigger, hairier guy that's like, but still like that's what a gay man is. That's a bear.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
now when I say talking about, it, I realize like what I'm saying. Like,
I think you'd be defined as a bear.
yeah, I would
Yeah.
say so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a little furry.
You're not a furry.
No, that's a different. God, I realize
So
this.
you're a furry.
There's so many.
Let's talk about that.
things that you can be. Like so many things. It's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
I think my pansexuality stops at furries. I'm not into furries.
I'm for people being into whatever they're into.
This you?
That's me. That's a little me with 4 fingers. Like,
This is so cool.
isn't that fun?
The 4 fingers are adorable. It's very Hilda. Have you ever seen Hilda?
Mm-mm.
It's on Netflix. It's feel good. You should definitely watch
Okay.
it. It's one of those cartoons that adults can also enjoy.
Okay.
And this is similar to the
I
animation.
like it. I even asked for like the hand thing when the person made it, but I'm glad they did. That's funny. Wait, you never told me what time you have till.
Oh yeah. So we're supposed to meet there at 9:15.
Oh shoot. Okay, so
But I can leave at 9:15.
Are you sure? Mm-hmm. Dang, you're playing hard to get like first date, like
Well, I don't
Make 'em wait.
imagine she'll be right on time. So.
all right, women, I forgot.
Yeah. Thanks.
That was good.
Circled back.
That was good.
I set myself up for that.
That is okay. So what's up with that? Why I am so punctual? Maybe it's just me though.
I'm very punctual too. I got here early and I was in the car for a
You
little bit.
did. You got. I
I sat
was
in the car for like 10 minutes before I actually get in the door.
I was like getting the camera ready, and then I don't ever have my phone on any it doesn't make sound. It doesn't even vibrate, nothing. I don't ever want anything to ever disturb me. So I miss a lot of phone calls and text messages.
Well, I'm surprised you got mine then.
I look at it a lot. So it's like when I miss it, I see it still. But yeah, that's funny. I want to, well, the time we have left, I want to talk more about your music.
Sure. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to okay. I wanted to stay as long as I could.
This has been really fun. I feel like we could talk for quite a bit. I'll have to have you come back sometime.
I would love to come back.
Yeah, we'll talk some more because if we spent an hour ranting about whatever.
We'll have part 2.
Part 2. We'll have to start early, like 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Maybe you can be known for my longest episode.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I could talk forever.
We can have cocktails.
I can make you cocktails. It's a plan.
Oh my God.
Let's do it.
This is going to be really fun.
It's going to be great.
We'll have to do it.
Do you smoke?
I do.
We can smoke.
We can smoke. We do cocktails. I have a futon. You might need it. We end up doing the episode while you just go to bed. Like,
just
I'm
get
done.
fucked up on the podcast.
I'm tapped out.
I'm going to have to really like filter myself.
That is the one thing about drinking on a podcast is I did one podcast once that wasn't this one. It was another one called Anything Goes. And it was with 2 women and 3 guys. And our thing was we're all going to like drink and smoke on it. And whatever happens, happens. Bad idea.
Really?
Some of the stuff, it was fun. It was fun.
Throwing shit at each other.
It was just like, imagine you're with 5 of your close friends and you're all drunk and high.
Yeah.
But there's 5 microphones on.
Right.
We started saying things. I'm like, I don't need people to hear. Like, we're just being ridiculous.
I was supposed to be on this other podcast called Shy Weed Girl. We ended up having a scheduling conflict, so we couldn't do it. But we were supposed to roll up on the podcast and like just hit bowls and stuff and talk about like weed and music and then like write a song together. And I was like, you want me to get high and then write a song? It's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, I can't do that. I'm more of a get the work done then smoke kind of person. I cannot do like smoke and get anything done. It makes me want to just like chill and like feel and get all heady and cry or smile. Like I just want to relax.
I just want to eat when I smoke.
You want to eat? Yeah, that's a
that's
big
like
one
my
too.
number one. Like right after I get done smoking, I'm just like, you know, I could go for like 7 Big Macs.
I thought you were gonna say like 1 or 2, 7.
But you wanted to talk about the music.
Oh yeah, I had a question. Do you play any instruments?
I do. I play guitar and piano.
Guitar and piano. How long have you been playing those?
I first played guitar when I was about 12.
Oh, a bit.
But it was self-taught, so I just learned off like YouTube and stuff. And,
yeah.
Like had a little notebook.
Tabs? You learned tabs? Okay.
No, I hated tabs. I couldn't figure them out. No, I just would watch other people and copy them, and then like I'd write the notes. I'd draw. So I'd make my own tabs, I guess. I'd draw like the strings, and then I'd just put little dots where my fingers go and like label it and call it like, oh, that's a D chord. And
that works.
I studied guitar, studied and taught myself it.
Truly self-taught.
Yeah. But then piano, I think I picked that up about a year or 2 after guitar. Just
also self-taught?
Mm-hmm. And it's my weaker instrument, but I do enjoy playing it from time to time. Guitar is my main for sure.
Okay, what kind of guitar do you play with?
I have an acoustic guitar. I prefer acoustic guitar.
You prefer acoustic, cool.
Yeah, I think it suits me better. I don't know. My voice and my singing style and the way that I write, it's all like on acoustic guitar because it just feels right. Yeah.
That's what you'll be performing with here? Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about the dates because I finally got some back from my band.
Boom.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm really excited to have them here. They're super talented individuals.
How many from that band are in Soul Dial?
Oh, I think 2 of them.
2? Okay.
Yeah, the keyboard is from Sold Out. 100% I know.
Yeah,
is in my band. But I'm pretty sure there's one other guy. I just can't. I'm not certain. I think he might have been a swing.
Yeah, because a lot of those guys are in a ton of bands.
Yeah.
Like I'll have sometimes when bands come in here, they don't have time to like figure out who's in what and what's in what. They'll just pop in. I'm like, of course you're in this band. It's usually bass players and drummers because they're like harder to come by that work with you know? Whereas a lot of people play guitar, you know?
Yeah.
But that bass player
I
thing.
knew a lot of the people you just recently worked with. You just worked with Allison Mahal, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I know her.
She's great.
She's amazing.
She's great.
And I know a lot of her guitarist was in my band at one point.
Okay.
And her drummer was like a close friend of mine at one point. So it's just very small.
Small world, yeah. So as of late, you're just like, Nashville, here.
Yeah.
Ayana. Hey, listen.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's a tiny community.
We like connect, and all of a sudden, just these worlds collide.
Yeah, I kind of knew that I needed to come talk to you because you are talking to everybody I know. I'm like, when's it my turn?
Sometimes it's as simple as just reaching out and showing genuine interest.
I'm glad that I did reach out.
I'm glad you did too. This was a lot of fun. And I can't wait for the second one when we do.
Yeah, we're going to have to like make a spreadsheet of what we're going to talk about because we're going to start losing it. And
that's the best part. How do you have a spreadsheet when you're smoking weed and drinking? That spreadsheet's going to be useless. It's going to end up being doodles on it.
I'm going to be on camera. I got to make sure I'm not acting too out of pocket, you know?
That's what this podcast is about.
Being out of pocket.
Yeah, it's just, there's nothing more fun than just going and going and this. Oh, really? Because it's, as soon as you say something that's like interesting, which has been a lot of stuff, it's like, okay, I want to know that. And that. And sometimes it goes full circle.
Yeah, you're so good at this. Like, I hope you're told that enough.
Thanks. I mean, I think so. When you do it all the time,
good at this.
Thank you.
This is the most fun interview I've ever had.
Wow. Man, you just made my day better. It was already a good day.
Most of the time I'm asked about, like, drama. You know
really?
I mean?
Drama, like?
Just my personal life.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I have found that the heavy stuff, the drama, naturally comes out when you just start talking and like get to know each other and you start talking, then this pops up and that pops up and it can lead to it. I mean, this podcast has been very inspirational to me and I realize how comfortable it's made people because I'm not going to name names, but there's been specific episodes where people have come out of the closet. Like for the first time right here. I'm like, to me? Like, I don't even know you. Or I've talked about things they don't talk about, like a sibling being murdered, like things like that, because they're within gangs, like things like that. And you're like, people crying because of it, like heavy stuff. Yeah. And it's just from being comfortable and talking. And it's why, like, the old school formula of interviews that were like 5-10 minutes, you don't get depth. You don't get anything. It's so superficial. They have to have something written, like, okay, this, and that. It's your new album. Okay, great. Okay, and you're playing at the Allstate Arena. Okay, and it ends there. Well, this is like, oh, wait, you did this? Oh, you're from there and you did that? And I wanted to ask you more about L.A. because it's like, well, if you lived there for 6 months, there's a good story there.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Because that's like, you don't just go to L.A. 2,000 miles away for 6 months. Just like there's some heartbreak in there. There's some job stuff in there. There's some letdowns and
there's a lot
and upticks and there's a lot and I wanted to go there, but
I'm the perfect person for your longest podcast because I have so many stories.
That's great. I have so many questions and my own stories.
Amazing. I love talking about myself.
The best is when it comes naturally. When you're talking about yourself, it doesn't feel like you're sitting there awkwardly boasting, but myself on this side is poking and asking the questions, kind of extrapolating them.
I love it.
It's
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're so good at it.
Thank
you make
you.
me feel so comfortable. So thank you. I love that we just hopped right in, too.
We hopped right in.
Yeah.
I don't even want to know anything because then I might ruin what I can learn on the podcast. Like,
that's so genius.
Just don't tell me anything. Just do it. No paper, nothing. Let's just go.
So you guys will get to know my band next podcast.
Yeah, the next one.
We know about DC. Everyone knows about DC now.
Now everyone knows DC and nobody else.
Nobody else.
So everyone can find you on all social media?
Yeah. My Instagram is Friday Write Songs. Pretty simple. And it's Writes with a W, not the R. W-R-I-T-E-S. Because people do get it confused somehow.
TikTok?
My TikTok is at Friday's Spam.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're like, as you said, you're like, why is it spam?
It was my spam TikTok I was never going to post on. And then I had like 3 videos go viral on it. And I just was like,
Wow. What kind of viral? Like serious viral?
Like comedy side of TikTok, like the funny side. Viral. Okay. But yeah, viral. Like 3.5 million each.
What?
Yeah.
That's what?
Yeah.
This is the only time I want the world's smallest violin for me. I have put out, if you count all of the things, I don't know, 1,800 videos in my life. Nothing even close to viral. Not even a hint of it. And then I hear people like, yeah, I did this one video like one time and I got like 20. I'm like,
I kind of know. I think I'm just on TikTok so much that I know what it needs. I know what the algorithm likes.
What do I have to do to go viral?
Be on TikTok.
I am. I post videos all the time.
But do you scroll?
Kind of, yeah.
That's why.
Really?
You kind of have to really get to know.
They want their own.
Yeah. You get to know the algorithm and then post stuff like the stuff you see. And then that's how you'll go viral.
barely like any of this stuff I see. So
Well, then you'll be able to really curate your algorithm then.
just a couple 3.5 million views. No big deal.
It really wasn't. It was like a bunch of shit posts. Like it was not
It's
even
so
music
funny.
related.
It's
So,
so funny.
It felt like
you gotta get your
nothing.
music stuff to go on there. You gotta get your music stuff to go viral on
That's
there.
what I'm trying to do. It's
Yeah.
hard. Once TikTok makes you go viral for something, it's kind of hard to break out of that.
Yes, I've heard people on. I've had a couple people on here that have gone heavily viral. This one really great TikTok creator, Aaron Paulson Drums. He's
I know who that is.
yeah, he's very well known.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who he was. And when people found out he was on there, they're like, my students, people were freaking out. Like anywhere I go, I said, they're like, what, Aaron? I was like, I don't know. He just reached out and I said, yeah. And I didn't know who he was. But he's told me that he's had stuff go like 20 million, like huge. And then like,
That's really big.
yeah. And then like a dip to where it's like, 14,000, which is still a lot, but not compared to 20 million.
That's kind of how it is. Like I had that one video that was 3.5 million, and then like 2 weeks later, I posted a video and it got like 200. So it doesn't show it. Yeah.
Did you get a lot of followers from that 3.5?
Yeah, not a ton. I've gotten more in the past. I had a different TikTok account that went viral like in 2020, and that one got me.
You've gone viral on 2 separate accounts, so you do know the secret sauce.
I do. Just not for my music. I know how to shit post.
Oh, that's so funny. God, I'm so lost.
I will copycat people to like try to hit the same level as them. Like, sometimes people will just post a picture and it'll have like 2 million views and 300,000 likes on it, and it's just like, what the hell? But
You're saying I need to show more skin, is what you're saying.
I mean, whatever it takes for you, whatever works, whatever gets your algorithm.
Oh, those algorithms work for people who show skin. That is a very real thing.
Maybe I should show more skin.
I mean,
Show a little sleeve action.
that's a good joke. Like, look I'm showing more skin. I should go viral. And the video.
Or you can just like shave your beard. Showing more skin.
Should I do the half beard thing?
just
shave half?
Shave everything but here.
That's good. Oh, well, Friday, I think you have to go on your unique first date on a rooftop pool.
I do.
You nervous?
No.
That's what I'm talking about. That's awesome.
No, I'm never nervous on dates. Never.
That's good. Yeah, I don't. That's good. I don't get nervous.
I just
either.
treat it like this and just treat it like a hangout. Just come sit down, talk.
Yeah.
And then I'm more concerned if I like them. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Then maybe it gets more nerve wracking when you do like them and you hope it doesn't get messed up.
Maybe.
You know.
I don't know if it's ever gotten that far. I don't like anyone.
Whoa.
I'm just kidding.
This podcast just started. We need a Dr. Phil on this episode.
Oh man.
Well, you see, why your problem is.
That's a really good impression of Dr. Phil.
Well, what you got to do now.
Can you say the ranch for me?
The ranch? Mm-hmm. Like, say the word the ranch?
He sends kids to the ranch.
Now you got to go to the ranch. And you got to stop disrespecting your mother and your father.
And selling cocaine.
And selling cocaine and licking butts. You got to stop that now.
The butt licking.
It was really fun to have you on. We definitely need to do this again. We'll go longer. We'll both allow a lot of time. It'll be fun.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for doing this. It was fun. I can't wait to have your band come in. And congratulations on the things you're doing. I can't wait to see and hear your NPR thing. That's pretty sweet.
Thank you.
That's cool.
I'll send you the link when I get it.
Please do. And I'm going to find you at your music venue right after this. All right. So people can find you on all social media.
Yes, yeah.
Perfect. Cool. Very cool. All right. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.